Hey guys! So this week we had our art project about The Dot, which is a book that I really like a lot. And when I was thinking about this project, I was kind of struggling, thinking, what kind of project am I going to assign to my students with this book that's just about really making dots? Yeah? It's just about filling up your paper, or not even filling up your paper, just experimenting with the shapes you have. And I think that's actually a pretty cool concept because really, I always thought of art as something that starts with a dot and a line just being a dot moving through space. So really, all the art in the world is made up by dots, and you can think of pointillism, which is an idea where tiny, tiny dots make up the whole picture. So that could be a dot painting. Or we have abstract work that has to do with dots, things like that. What I'm going to do this week, I'm going to keep it simple. I would like you to take a piece of paper and fill it up with dots. I would like you to try to use materials that you have and do the best you can. I got out a bunch of Crayola markers that I'm going to draw some circles and dots with, and then I'm going to use water to see how they look on the paper. Maybe I'll blow some water at them and things like that. So that's what I'm going to have us do this week. If you have watercolors, you should experiment with watercolors. If you just have markers, try to wet those too and see what happens. Try to mix colors and see what happens. We're going to try all of that together in this video this week. So let's give it a shot. So here it is, guys. Here we go. We're going to be making some dot art. I suppose that could be a dot. And I'm going to do some little dots right here. And this is very free form, like I said, and then I'm going to take a brush. I'm going to put my brush in some water and see if I could take this and sort of pull the color out. And it looks like I can pull the color out pretty nicely, which is exciting to see, right? That's something I always like to see. Adding color in and being able to pull it around a little bit. You can see what kind of colors these greens make. Wow. Now that's pretty cool. So now we know that we can use these Crayola markers to make some of our colors. I'm also going to use watercolors though to make some of my dots because I do think watercolors would be the best to use, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys that I think this project is more about experimentation than anything else. And that I don't think it needs to be perfect or it needs to look beautiful at the end. This is all about learning and trying, and this book is kind of about the joy of art, right? And I think that's why people like it, because it's about the joy that comes from creating something. So, I personally am going to try to channel some joy and love into this piece and see where it takes me. I don't want you guys to think I'm just messing around either. I'm totally freewheeling through this. And while I'm doing this, I want to remind you guys that a dot is really just a line in motion. Or just a line is just a dot in motion. Honestly, I'm having a blast. So one thing I am doing here is I'm looking for any colors I feel like I might be missing. And I want to add those in. And I'm really just following that structure of the dot, right? Like, maybe it's even the time to take another marker and draw what I think is missing. And see where that gets me. Where did I put my watercolor set? There we go. Making dots is the kind of thing you do that reminds you that you can make art forever. And it'll always be good for you to do. It'll always be good to express that creativity and to create movement on paper. No matter what it looks like. Dots. I like my dots a lot here, actually. I keep looking back at it and thinking, I don't want to change too much because looking at the picture, I already really like my dot drawing. I think it's really beautiful. I'm really into the blue. One dot assignment. So that's the first dot assignment that you're welcome to try. I actually have another idea for you that we're gonna look at. We're gonna do something called concentric circles. But man, that was a really good time. I had a lot of fun making that. So I suggest you try it. You might have watercolor. You might not. Could go like this, this, this. I'm happy to see your dots. But if you are more of the perfectionist type, you can make something different with your dots. You can make something called...
Hey guys, so right here I start talking about concentric circles. I actually do a better job of doing concentric circles later in this video. Kind of go off task with this one. So just keep it in mind. That's all.
Maybe that's my center. Just some regular Crayolas here. Take that. And maybe after that, I want to draw something here. Now, let's see what happens with what we have. Okay, so that's what we have so far. I'm picking back up my watercolors. If you have watercolors, I would pick them back up. If you do not have watercolors, this does work with markers. Looks kind of cool, right? Look how it's catching right there. That's a little trick of watercolor, actually, that I could teach you. This is wet on wet watercolor. That's why it's running. If you do wet on dry, here we go. See how it's not escaping to this dry part? Oops. But if I just put some watercolor right here, or some water, there it goes, it escapes to the next wet part. Embrace the drips, guys. I sure am. Let's go with some more of that blue. Looks nice. All right. Since I only had a little bit of green there, I'm gonna let that color. itself here on the outside. One thing you may have noticed is that the colors aren't that bright. Maybe they look a little brown to you. That's alright. Unless it's not alright with you, of course. This is what I made. But I'm continuing. Ooh, I think I'll go with some yellow or orange, I mean. I want you to think of yourself and think, what if I were to just make? Just make. Just create something. Just something. That's kind of what I think the dot is all about. This is something anyone can do. Just like Vashti was concerned in the book that she couldn't make something. We have to believe that we can make something too. I've added a lot of red to that. I think we're getting back to the blue. I'm really feeling red and blue on these, if you haven't noticed. You know what I'm gonna do at this point? I'm gonna flip it actually. Be careful because your paper might be a little damp. But it'll stay together. Maybe I'll give that some time to dry. I don't think this one came out as nicely as my other one. But you know what? That's not a concern for me. Because I'm just making dots. And maybe I'll take some time to change this. Or maybe not. But a dot is a dot. I think what I will do is I will go ahead And some dots, some smaller dots. Maybe some swirls too. All about that loosey-goosey. And you know, as I create these loosey-gooseys, I'm feeling more pleased with my dot drawing already. I know I said these are going to be concentric circles. They are. Circles start on the inside, then go to the outside. That's what concentric circles means. This one went a little crazy, but that's because this is a dot project. It's going to be whatever you want it to be. I just want you to sit with the materials you have and create something. And I know you will, and I know you can, and I know you're going to do great. So, you saw my 2 dot examples here. It's up to you now to create one of your own. I actually decided, guys, that I wanted to do one more dot video that I could show you where I give the circles I make some time to dry. So you can have that as a choice in case you're not really into the whole idea of having them run. So I'm gonna make a time lapse of that, and you will have that as an option too. And I'm gonna use watercolor, but of course you can use whatever materials you have. As long as you have some colors, you should be all good. All right, I'll do a time lapse of that. Also, my hands are dot-like right now too. Anyway, see you then. Okay guys, so here's the last option for your dot project, and in my opinion this is the one that's the least interesting and kind of least fun, but it's whatever you want to do. You can do this one, and this one is very simple, concentric circles just going around each other. So make sure you give it a shot. Try one, try all. Try whatever dot project you would like to do. I gave you these 3 examples, and I'm sure there's one that you can do well. I'm sure you can do all of them well, but you have some options here. So there you have it. Make sure you sign it, just like in the book. And I look forward to seeing all of your dots. Bye, guys.